I did not want me on, so let me get ready to get me off.
Great evening, great evening. Come on in the room, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Great evening, great evening.
Yeah, but I was just going to tell you, just go ahead and freestyle, talk about what y'all got going on, and then I'll start bringing in the guests and everything else. But if you'll just do that,
All
we'll
right, I'll
rock and
do it.
roll this great show.
Let's do it. Great evening, great evening. Come on in the room. Please let us know where you are streaming from, what city, what state, who knows what country, right? Because this is an international broadcast. Happy Ash Day, Wednesday. And also it's the first day of Lent to those that celebrate that. So again, thank you. You could have been anywhere else on this evening, but you chose to be with us for such a time as this. And we are so, so grateful. So again, right there in the chat, put your names and let us know what city, what state you're from. And also take this time to share it on your social media platforms, right? We definitely want to get this information out to the people because it is going to be so educational and informational and uplifting. So as most of us are aware, listen, systematic racism, oppression, and discrimination toward the Black community underlies every institution in the United States, often resulting in unprecedented suffering and, yes, unfortunately, death. Well, the healthcare system that was designed to promote wellness, it is no different. And we know with COVID-19's proportionate impact on Blacks, combined with police brutality and everything in between, the veil has definitely been pulled back. And we see the magnitude of the devastation. And at the core of it all, it seems that there is a consistent need for access. Listen, I am Natasha Brooks. I am a Maryland native. I'm a proud Bennett Belle. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm a former special education teacher for the North Carolina Public School System. Currently, I work as the department administrator in the Office of Student Success at High Point University. I'm a proud mother of two, and I have the privilege of serving as your host this evening. And I would also like to say that I'm a proud co-founder of a nonprofit organization called the Birthing Movement Incorporated, which serves people in terms of helping them to plan, to push, and produce their purpose. Now, to kick off this evening, I would like for one of this Black Empowerment Week's organizers, also serving as one of our panelists, to get us started. So please welcome on Chef Greg Lee. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, sweetheart? It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with us once again tonight. So everybody at home, welcome back to today's session talking about Black health. And it is a very important issue and topic that we must touch on. And trust and believe we have some powerful panelists tonight, and we're going to touch on a lot of issues pertaining to our Black health. Myself, my lane is food. I'm a certified chef. For about going on 10 years now. I'm an owner operator of Lee Food Group. I own a food truck, Big Harry's Back Porch Barbecue, and I'm also the chef and owner of Essence Catering. I have a lot of experience in the kitchen, a real strange relationship with food that most people don't have. I've cooked in fine dining establishments such as Printworks. I've been a head chef at Harlem Bistro, sous chef at Golden Leaf Bistro, so I'm very qualified to talk to you today about changing your diet.
And excellent. Right. Before we bring on our other panelists, can you maybe give us a little snippet as to how you even got involved in this? What led you here?
Got involved in the next generation, or just got involved in cooking?
It could be both.
Okay, well, I love Black folks. So I always had that passion for us anyway. But I could say me living a healthy lifestyle and wanting to see our people eat better and do some of the things that I do in my own kitchen. I guess comes from the experience I had with my parents. I lost both of my parents back in 2015, and they suffered from a lot of ailments and illnesses due to their diet, things that they were eating. And I can remember vividly going to a lot of doctor's appointments with them, taking them back and forth, and a lot of issues that they dealt with was directly linked to what they were putting in their mouths. So it kind of motivated me and pushed me to be different, change, educate and teach my kids to do different and operate my household in a more healthier sense. And so I love and I have a passion to share that information with especially Black people, but all people, because we are living in a time where we are suffering from the standard Americanized diet, and acronym for SAD, and we must change for what we do and what we put on our dinner plate.
Absolutely, and we definitely will get into that. All right. Well, if we're ready, let's bring on our other esteemed panelists at this time as well. We have with us Dr. Vita Bland. We also have Mr. Thomas E. Clodfelter. Thank you so much for joining us on this evening. It is a pleasure to have you both. And at this time, Dr. Bland, could you please give us a little bit of your background as well as what led you into your current profession?
Okay, my name is Dr. Vita Bland. I am a proud Bennett Belle also. And I am a hypertension specialist and family medicine doctor. I've practiced for many years. And again, this is something that I have a passion for because we as African Americans have a lot of hypertension. We know we do. And I would like to do everything I can to help us get up under control because we suffer a lot, heart disease, strokes, all of the things that happen to us when we aren't caring for ourselves properly. We do have some genetic things that make us more susceptible to having high blood pressure, and we need to look at things and try our best to take better care of ourselves. So I am so happy to hear Chef talk about all the things that he's talking about, because junk in, junk out. I don't care what you say, junk in, junk out. And it's important what you put inside your body. It's important. Your lifestyle is very important. And so I just like to talk to people about that and make sure they at least have an understanding. After we've done that, then it's up to them. They make their own decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for that. And now, Mr. Clodfelter.
I got it. I'm here because in 1990, I was diagnosed with HIV, co-infected with hepatitis B. And shortly after finding out my diagnosis, sit down for 2 years. And then I was like, God, what we going to do with this? And I put all my faith in God, and the way that I contracted HIV and the way that I found out about it, I just got up and I believed and I stepped out on faith. I came to Greensboro and I had to be the face, the voice, the man speaking about HIV and just how important it is, understanding what HIV is, why come it affected you, and being able to first learn the disease and just grasp the whole existence of it. And so now I'm speaker, activist, advocate in the community, in the schools, bus stations, depot, community. I mean, whatever. I wear a lot of hats, sit on a lot of committees, but it's about speaking to the Black community, to my people, which I love. And I'm a Black man, and the stigma, the discrimination, the criminalization laws, just addressing these issues and letting people know that to know your status and to understand how important it is to understand HIV and not stereotype and discriminate against nobody with HIV, because it could happen to you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that as well. So for those of you that are just logging on again, this is day 4 of Black Empowerment week. This is the Black Health Summit. I am your host for this evening. For those of you, please, in the chat throughout the duration of tonight, if you have any questions for our panelists, go ahead and specifically list their names if it's targeted to someone in particular. Otherwise, just place your questions there and we will do our best to honor them and to answer them. So for tonight's format, our role and responsibility, I believe, is to have a very intimate, a very open and educational, sound conversation that will plant seeds of information, light fires of hope, and launch people into action for effective change. And I hope that even in this platform, this setting, that it'll be both a brave space and a safe space. Now, time pending, because I'm sure it's probably going to go by very quickly, the attempt is to at least skim the surface of some social determinants of health in terms of nutrition and fitness awareness, ramifications of limited representation and research, and as well as with our Black practitioners, environmental racism, the stigma, stereotypes, myths, and misconceptions associated with Black children, women, men, and COVID-19 as a whole, toxic stress of racism and the correlation to mental health, as well as distinguishing the difference and the importance of programs versus policies. So go ahead, if you haven't already, grab your pens, your pads, get your cell phones ready in the notes section, or just press record. Or if you just want to sit back, soak it in, and come back and watch the replay, you can do that too. But right now, we're going to go ahead and get started. So for our first health focus in the area of nutrition and fitness awareness, I know that when I think about nutrition, I think back when I was a child, and it seemed like the key thing was you get 30 minutes of physical activity each and every day, learn the food pyramid and drink water, and you're good. And that's all that you needed to know. But then as I matriculated through Bennett College and got into my profession of special education, what I learned was oftentimes I was having children, whether in my classroom or observing in other places throughout the school, who were labeled as having severe behavior problems or being disrespectful because they were falling asleep and they were very irritable or they couldn't focus. And so again, you had a lot of misdiagnosing, but at the end of the day, it was because of malnutrition. And it blew my mind. How do we expect children to be filled with knowledge when they have empty stomachs? And so from that point on, I made sure that I tried to have a personal relationship with them, as much with their family as possible, and to always keep nutritious food on hand. Now, going into this, the question that I have for this evening, the very first one, is at what age do you believe it is critical to begin providing awareness on proper nutrition and fitness, and who is responsible for this? Dr. Bland?
Well, this needs to start from the crib. It needs to start from the beginning. What you feed your babies in the beginning, well, really, it starts from even before then, because what you take in when you're pregnant is also extremely important. But what the kids are taught from the beginning, what they see their parents do, what they see their parents eat, that is the beginning of how they will decide what they will eat also. It is the parents' job initially to start this, to model what they want their children to do. Now, this is something that, unfortunately, with people working and everything, a lot of people have not don't have the time to try to prepare breakfast for their children, and nutritious breakfast. And a lot of times people will run through a drive-through and buy something, and it's not always the most nutritious thing. I'd rather see a child get some fruit. I tell people you can cook the night before and have the child eat it in the car or something of that nature. But something that's nutritious is very, very important for them to start their day off with. So this needs to be started from the beginning, before they even get here. As I said at the beginning, junk in, junk out. You cannot expect a child to learn when they are not being fed, if they don't have something in their stomach so they feel good and everything. So that's how I feel how that goes.
Thank you. Chef Lee.
just like Dr. Bland said, it starts with the parents early as a child. I know for myself, I just the other day, I made my kids, I said, we're going to have soup and salad for lunch. And I know two of my girls don't like greens, but I told them they didn't have a choice. You know, they're going to eat this salad and they're going to eat this soup. And that's me training their taste buds and introducing them into something different. And especially when you talk about breakfast, Dr. Bland, one thing that I'm happy about, my kids love oatmeal. That's a quick and easy, simple breakfast, and it's inexpensive that you can fix, and it's healthy for you. It takes all of 5 minutes. You can do a lot of things to it. You can add fruit to it. You can add a little honey. You can even put peanut butter in it. You could jazz it up to make it presentable for kids. Add a little cinnamon to it, or a little maple syrup, you know, and it's more appealing for the children. And that way they will eat it. And or a piece of toast with some jelly on it and a piece of fruit. It's you don't have to have a biscuit and egg and bacon every morning. I don't know why we under that misconception that that's how we should start our day. You can, I mean, and sometimes I take my kids and we have a smoothie for breakfast. Mm-hmm. And it's you know, enough nutrients and nourishment for your body. It carries me on to lunch, you know. So we have to think more out of the box instead of more traditional. You don't have to have the bacon and eggs every morning. You don't have to have the sausage every morning. I encourage you to kind of explore other options as far as for your breakfast and what you're teaching your kids, because you're exactly right, Dr. Bland. Your kids are watching what you eat. And my kids are very blessed because me being a chef, I'm a foodie. So I eat, I try things, and you know, I eat all across the board: Asian, Japanese, Chinese, American. You know, I'm everywhere with my food. Today, my daughter sat down and ate sushi with me. That's you know, that's a blessing that they have. So I encourage parents to allow your children to see you eat better. You know, instead of giving them potato chips, cut them up slice them up some cucumbers and give them some ranch dressing to dip it in. Mm-hmm. And just little things like that we can do.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you. And Mr. Clodfelter.
I agree with Dr. Bland. It starts when you're a child, because I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandmother didn't play that, God rest her soul, back in the day. You ate what she fixed. You ate all of it off the plates. And then now that I'm living with HIV, I have to be better and more careful at what I eat and what I put in my body. It's just, it's beneficial to me. But overall, it starts when they come out of the womb. I mean, as soon as they're able to eat, you got to start when they're young and just prepare them and let them know that it's very valuable that they eat. And we know that we suffer from diabetes, high blood pressure, all these issues and health issues. So it starts at a young age.
Val, and it states that African Americans have dietary preferences born from cultural influences and necessity. The preference for a particular type of cuisine called soul food has resulted in various health problems for African American soul food. Whenever most African American families get together, their social interactions are centered around food. Now, looking briefly at the history of African Americans in the United States, in her article, Where Settlers, Slaves, and Natives Converged, A Way of Eating Was Born by Geneva Collins in 2007, it was discussed the history in terms of the Southern cuisine. According to her article, a convergence of different types of foods caused by the cultural fusion of the English settlers, Native Americans, and African slaves was the basis of Southern cuisine. The African slaves learned how to fry, boil, and roast dishes using pork fat, corn, sweet potatoes, and local green leafy vegetables, which were the styles of cooking used by the British, French, Americans, and Spanish. The Native Americans influenced a lot of the cooking techniques and dishes prepared by the African slaves. Typical Southern cuisines such as corn pudding, pumpkin pie, Brunswick stew, and hominy grits are examples of this influence. Then it states that the African slaves brought back black-eyed peas, rice, yams, okra, and watermelon from their country. Now, closing with this, a lot of the foods stated that Black Americans eat today are influenced by dominant American culture. The typical Western diet consists of high amounts of fat and salt and meals, which are centered around meat instead of vegetables. In her article, Soul Food, Eating Black May Be Healthier Than You Think, Egypt Freeman in 1996 described this issue. She mentioned that the original African slave diet consisted of whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Their healthier way of eating persisted, over many decades until more Black Americans became acclimated to the dominant Western culture. And she stated how the African slaves often cooked their food over open pits and or fireplaces. Do you agree with what was stated here? Do you believe that our culture truly does influence what we eat? Let's start with Mr. Clodfelter on this one.
I have to say I agree. I believe our culture do play a valuable part in what we eat. But myself, I'm very picky. And I mean, I value what I put in my body. But I do believe that our culture plays a valuable part in what we eat.
Thank you. Dr. Bland.
Well, I think our culture does play a role in what we eat, but we can still eat better. There are ways to make our diet taste good, but yet still honor our cultural heritage. There are absolute ways to make that happen. I think about this time of year, I have to always make sure my scales at the office have been calibrated, because people come in and when we weigh them and they've gained 10 pounds, 15 pounds, oh, your scale must be, no, my scale. I have to show you where they come in and they calibrated the scale. But it's because we have overindulged during the holiday season, which is what we do to enjoy and everything. And I think also because of COVID that we're having right now, a lot of people are indulging a little bit more and they're cooking more, and they may not be cooking as healthy as they can. It's important what you put in your body. It's interesting because when we were in Africa, there was not enough salt around. And we developed a gene that made us retain salt. Through the years, we've not gotten rid of that gene. But in this Western culture, we don't need all that salt because there's already too much salt in the food that we get. And this is one of the things, that extra salt that we're getting, that we retain, that pushes our blood pressures up on a lot of occasions. So the diet, we can eat. And I'm sure that Chef knows a lot of recipes that he can throw on us of how we can still honor our heritage and make it taste good, but yet make it healthy for us, because it's important that we eat healthy. As Mr. Clark never say, it's important. What we put in our body is so very, very important. Lifestyle is so important.
Thank you. Chef Lee.
Oh, does our culture, we are the culture, we set the trend. I think it's more than just culture. We honor tradition almost to our death. And that's what we need to rewrite. We need to rewrite the culture. I went to a soul food restaurant in Charlotte that was vegan, and I was curious when I think I went to the NDRE concert, and me and my wife and my aunt and I Googled a food near us, and this vegan soul food restaurant popped up, and I said that we're gonna try it. And I said, I wonder, me being a chef, I said, well, what could be on their menu that would be resemble soul food that's all vegan? They had macaroni and cheese. They had I had a pulled pork barbecue, but it was made out of jackfruit, and it was great. You know, the macaroni and cheese was dairy free, and then I had a Reuben made out of, I think it was tempeh. I forgot what they made this out of, but it had the sauerkraut. It was all meatless, and it didn't taste great. I forgot what my wife got, but we really enjoyed it. So that was an experience that I said, wow, this is how you change the culture. This is how you kind of jazz things up. But if you don't want to take it to that extreme, you're right, Dr. Bland. It's a lot of small things that we can do to our traditional diet to make it more healthier. You don't have to put meat in your greens every time you cook them. I'm going to repeat that again. You don't have to put meat in your greens every time you cook them. You can actually use a vegetable stock and just flavor it with different aromatics such as garlic, onions. If you got to use salt, cook with the salt. Don't put it on after, and taste your food while you're cooking it. And so those are little simple tricks that you can do while you're preparing your food. And also you stop adding sugar to your greens and to everything. That's a way we start changing the culture and making things better for our children in the future. Don't let culture decide what we eat. We need to understand we are the culture and we set the trends. Black America, we influence so much. We influence the world on what we wear, what we hear. Soul food has influenced on what we put on our dinner plate. So it is up to us to remain the culture and change it, rewrite the narrative. That's what we have to do.
Thank you. On surface value, again, what we state seems so simplistic, but we know that there are other outside variables such as food insecurity, right? And food deserts. I know that the lady, Miss Irish Schley from Afro Agriculture, who was on the other night, stated that in Guilford County alone, there are 24 food deserts, and in Forsyth County, 21 food deserts. And then we think about the different propaganda when it comes to the advertising on billboards in our specific communities in terms of advertising for cigarettes. You have the liquor stores, you might have some beauty supply stores, but you don't have the grocery stores. You don't even have bike lanes, right? And some neighborhoods, you don't even have playgrounds. So how can they go out there and actually get that, exertion of the energy and the fitness? So that being said, there may be some mothers, there may be some fathers who want the best for their children, but they have so much fighting against them. Perhaps they want to provide those healthy meals, but they're not even employed, right? Or they have to rationalize how many meals they can have. They can only do one meal a day. So, hey, I'm going to send you to school, hope that you are on the free and reduced lunch schedule. And then perhaps for dinner, you will have it. I know when I was in the school system, they had the book bag program. Well, the problem with that was if we weren't in school, how were they going to get it? And secondly, some of the children didn't want it because the kids knew what the book bag represented and they were embarrassed. So how do you negate that? And when you think about where we are now with children being at home and how hunger is, even in North Carolina as a whole, it is quite devastating. So with all of these other factors, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Let's start with Mr. Lee. Go ahead.
Oh man, that question is has so many answers, and it has so many parts. But it starts with us. I understand it's food desert. I grew up in West End in Reidsville, North Carolina, like 2 blocks away from the projects. The corner store had pickled pig feet and pickled eggs and wine and beer and want a fresh piece of fruit in sight. And sadly to say, it still looks that way to this day. But we as Black folks, got to take our neighborhoods and turn them back into communities. Those of us who have been blessed and fortunate enough to be able to eat a balanced diet, we need to reach back out and help those who don't have and educate them. I know myself, the work that I do for others, and it is like elderly folks. I got a keen heart for them. If I know they may need a meal, I might just pop up on their door and give them a healthy meal or something. And that's what we have to do as a race of people, so we can build our neighborhoods back up and overcome those obstacles, because it's going to take the village in order to heal each other. We can't always depend on the system, so to speak, to help our people. We have to come up with plans to feed ourselves. Start like the simple thing we could do is teach somebody how to grow something. If you don't do nothing, but you can get everybody want a red cup and put a adult beverage in it. You can take that same red cup, poke holes in the bottom of it, put some dirt in it, and put a seed in it, and teach your child or teach somebody how to grow something. You can make a little garden spot in your backyard that's very small, and that's just the basis of growing your own food, producing for yourself. If you can't get it at the store, grow it in your yard. Put it in a flower pot. You can't get a tomato grow your own. So these are the little things that we can do, but we have to use the institutions that we have based in the Black community, such as the church, our nonprofits, and we have to start teaching and educating practical solutions for our people instead of not doing that.
Thank you. I love that. Now listen, you need to write that down. Teach somebody how to grow something. That could apply to a whole bunch of sectors. All right, Doctor, thank you so much. Dr. Bland.
Well, I agree with you, Chef, that, we need to teach people how to grow. And it's painful, especially when you see children who don't have enough to eat. And I know right now, in the midst of COVID, where people have lost their jobs, that a lot of people don't have enough to eat. A lot of people are finding themselves at food banks when they've never, ever had to go to these places before. And when we say, trying to make sure that the food that you eat is healthy, we do take that in consideration, that, that you need to have something to eat, and it's important. But, one of the things we still try to tell people is that no matter what you have, you can still make it better than, it doesn't have to be junk. You can still work with it. You don't have to put a lot of salt in it. You don't have to put a lot of butter in it and stuff like that. Still make it as healthy as you possibly can. But I like what Chef says about teaching people how to grow. It's interesting. I heard an article just the other day that was talking about that. And they talked about, for, I think, every dollar that you spent, buying what you needed to grow food and everything, that you get about several pounds more out of it, 20 something pounds more out of it. So a small investment can feed you and your neighbors and everybody else. I know in the summertime, I grow stuff, and I've often said that I need to go by Food Line and see if they want to buy some of the tomatoes that I have, because I get so many of them, but it's a huge difference in the way they taste than it does in the food that you buy in the store. It's fresh. It has all the nutrients in it. It's not been adulterized to make it last on the shelf longer and things like that. So it's important that, we think about growing things. We grow collard greens. I'll be honest, I can put greens. I have cabbage. I have, I do everything but corn out there and it's on my deck, out there. But it's a difference in how it tastes. So, we just have to start trying to do some of those little things. And yeah, it takes a little effort to do it, but you get such pride when you see it growing up, as Chef said.
Thank you so much. Yeah, growing up, I was raised by my maternal grandparents, and my grandfather had a huge garden. I feel like it was half the size of a football field, and he grew everything. And I regret never taking the time to learn. Of course, I would snap the peas and beans and shuck the corn, but that was pretty much all that I did. But I never really went out to seek the process. So again, thank you for that. And lastly, Mr. Clodfelter.
I agree with Chef and Dr. Bland. But I want to say, from my perspective, and there comes a time, in life where when you are in a situation like mine, you live off the government and you only get so much food stamps. So there's complications that comes with certain issues and lifestyles. And, once I was diagnosed with HIV, I lost everything I had. I mean, I lost everything. So I had to quit work. I had to apply for government services, SSI, so on, you name it. So basically, I do the best with what I have, and I try to eat as healthy as possible and maintain my health, because I do still take medicine. I take medicine, my HIV medicine. I take hepatitis B medicine. So I have to eat with the medicines. But overall, I'm thankful, first and foremost, for God and God's grace throughout the 34 years of living with this and surviving. So I just wake up. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I know how to survive. I'm old school. I miss the gardens. I miss planting, shucking the beans, the pintos, as Grandma used to have us do. But yeah, I wish we could go back to it takes a village, the gardens and all of that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you, panelists, for your views focused on the area of nutrition. At this time, we're going to shift gears and we're actually going to have a medical spotlight. We have with us, thank you for joining us, Dr. Denise Hunter, who is going to speak about COVID-19. And she also represents Compassion Healthcare Incorporated. So panelists, we're going to move you out the way for a quick moment, but we're going to bring you back because we have a lot more to discuss. Dr. Hunter, we are in your hands.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I actually was really enjoying the conversation because, everybody needs a side hustle. And as a side hustle, I do teach wellness to high school and college age youth. I've actually met Chef Lee before together, that Leroy Harrelson goes. So I can't remember the name of the church right now, but I was really enjoying the conversation. Yes, as you said, I do represent Compassion Health Care System, and I do want to go ahead and if we can invite our CEO in, Billy Crumpton. I think he's also in the waiting room.
Absolutely. Hello, sir. How are you?
I am well. I'm loving the conversation and here to support.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're eager to learn more about what you guys actually have to offer.
Yes. So I'll just go ahead and say I'm Dr. Denise Hunter. I'm an internal medicine physician. I work for Compassion Health in our Yanceyville location. I've been an internal medicine physician for over 20 years. Oh, wow. Time just flies. And today I just really wanted to come in and talk about the COVID vaccine. And as we know, unfortunately, one of the things right now, our community, our Black community, are really not being vaccinated at the rate that we are 3 times more likely to suffer or get COVID, as we've noticed over this past year. But right now we are on the lower end of getting vaccinated, and most of it, and there's a couple reasons for that. Some of it is access, and a lot of it is just hesitancy around the vaccine. So I really just wanted to give some information. Maybe I can help some people feel a little bit more comfortable about the vaccine. So the first question a lot of people ask, is the vaccine safe? And more specifically, is it safe for Black people? And honestly, if I was supposed to be very, 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 very transparent, I asked that very question myself. I did. I can't come up here and act like I was just had my arms stressed out, ready, put the needle in me, please. I had that very question, is it safe? Do I really need it? We all were listening to some of the conspiracy theories out there. I don't even have to go over them. They're there. But even I took the time to really understand it a little better. And 2 weeks ago, I stretched my arm out and got the first dose of the vaccine in my left arm, got a little sore. And I'll talk about these side effects a little bit here. So is the vaccine safe? Well, first of all, this is an mRNA vaccine. This is a new technology. That's not the usual way that we'd get an immunization. And I don't know if there's probably not a lot of medical personnel, people that are familiar with that. But what it is, they have taken it's like a blueprint, how our body works. We use a blueprint to make things. So they have figured out the blueprint for the spike protein. We've all seen the picture of the coronavirus. It looks like it has like multiple little antennas sticking off of it. They've taken a blueprint of that spike protein and found a way to recreate that blueprint. And that blueprint is actually what's injected into our bodies, allowing our bodies to make the protein, and that spike protein to make the protein, and then it activates the immune system so that the next time or whenever our body comes in contact with a COVID virus, it recognizes it and know, oh, that's the enemy, I'll fight it off. And so the mRNA technology has actually been around for some time, since it started about the Ebola virus. When the Ebola virus came out, that's when they really started working on that technology. And so it's, as people think this is coming around so quickly, but no, that mRNA technology is the word I'm going to use, has been around for some time now. And people are kind of concerned about the safety of this, because how did they develop the vaccine so quickly? Well, the truth is, because it was such a worldwide issue, we were able to put more resources in it. It was more of a concerted effort. People weren't fighting against each other to get this done. There was more cooperation and less bureaucracy. So that is how we were able to move so fast or so quickly through the steps of developing a vaccine. So is the vaccine safe? The answer is yes, it is. Is the vaccine safe for Black people? Like I said before, Black people have been some of the hardest hit population with this whole pandemic. And in the past, in our healthcare, we have to be honest, we have not really been represented in the these studies for different diseases, for medications. We have not really been represented. And because we were so hard hit with this pandemic, the organizations, the companies that have made these vaccines have really made an effort to make sure we were represented in the group of people that were being studied during the vaccine. For example, in Pfizer had about 40,000 patients in their study, and 9.8% of them were Black. Moderna had about 27,000 people in their study, and 9.7 of them were Black. And I think I said with Pfizer was 9.8 was Black, 9.7 was Moderna. And that's a pretty large number, considering in other medications or things that are going through being passed through approved for medication or vaccines, we were not really even represented in those numbers. I mean, 3%, 2%, 1%, those kind of numbers. So for us to be 9.8% and 9.7%, they were really making an effort to make sure that we were represented. So is it safe for Black people? I would say the answer is yes to that too. People are also concerned about reactions to the vaccine. There haven't been a lot of reactions to the vaccine that we really need to worry as much about. I mean, yes, just with any vaccine, you can have the pain, you can have a feeling as if you're getting ill or sick, and that's
All right. I think we might have lost Dr. Hunter. We'll see if she comes back in. But Mr. Compton, could you perhaps speak about what Compassion Healthcare actually offers as far as services?
So Compassion Healthcare serves Caswell and Rockingham County.
Okay.
There's a number of services that are provided, but the nucleus of who we are is primary care, with behavioral health services, psychiatry. We made the pivot that all other healthcare organizations did when the pandemic started in offering telehealth. So that's no longer something that requires an actual visit to the doctor's office. Certainly it can. But in addition to that, we really have taken seriously the responsibility of being on the front lines of the community needs as they relate to COVID. So whether that be testing, we offer walk-in testing. There's no out-of-pocket cost to anybody at both of our offices. We have a mobile unit that we've just recently gotten delivered that is on the road, traveling throughout the community. And now, over the last 2 weeks, we have gotten into the vaccine space. And that vaccine conversation is so relevant in so many ways. But recognizing, who we are as an organization is one that, we really take seriously and take a lot of pride in the medical staff that we have. I'm telling you, you will not find better. I don't care how large the institution is and how familiar you are with them. But the thing that I think sets us apart is the intention that we put into reaching populations that we know our U.S. healthcare system has failed.
Wonderful. Dr. Hunter, thank you for rejoining us. We know how technology is.
Yes.
I have 2 more questions for Mr. Compton, and then we'll dive back into your presentation, Dr. Hunter. So, Mr. Compton, in terms of what are your hours of operation? When are you open?
In Eden, which is where our office in Rockingham County is, it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 5. We're open until 7 on Tuesday, and we close at 12 on Friday. That schedule is the same in Yanceyville, except we're open until 7 on Thursdays.
And in terms of insurance, what carriers do you accept?
There is not a single insurance that anybody will have that we do not accept. So that is all of your commercial plans, your Medicare, your Medicaid, and insurance is not a barrier. If someone doesn't have insurance, they can apply for a sliding fee that will give them an office visit as low as $20.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I want to step out of Dr. Hunter's way.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. All right, Dr. Hunter, we're back in your hands again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do about this internet.
It's okay.
If it falls out again.
Listen, if it falls back out again, listen, we're after you. We're going to have a vendor spotlight, and then we're actually going to have a segment on the ramifications of limited representation. And you actually touched on that a little bit. So if you would maybe join us for that segment, that would be wonderful. But go ahead as you.
I have no problem coming back. I cleared the evening for you all. How's that?
Thank you.
Yeah, I was actually just about finishing up anyway, just talking about the allergic reaction. The good thing about vaccines, there's not a lot of extended issues that occur with vaccines. So typically, if you're going to have a reaction, it's going to be 1 month, about 1 month into the vaccine. And we have lots of people. We have, so the 40,000 people that were in the Pfizer study. We have the 27,000 people that were in the Moderna study. We have the 52 million Americans that have been vaccinated already. And we know we understand fully the spectrum of side effects related to the immunization. I mean, yes, let's just be honest, things can happen, but the percentages are really against any significant issue with this vaccine, as opposed to other vaccines that are out there.
Yeah, I know that some people, and maybe this is one of the things that you're talking about, might be conspiracy theory. I'm not sure, but I know that some are concerned that individuals that have taken the vaccination that have actually died.
Yeah, so there has been some deaths. There really has been, but I think the percentage is 0.0018. Of course, nobody would want to be in that 0.0018%. No one wants to be in that. But when you look at it compared to the risk of other things, it's a very small risk, other things that we do daily. And you know, where we are right now, there is a pandemic, there is this virus out there that has absolutely ravaged our lives. And it's about, I think the number is about 75 of Americans will need to be vaccinated for us to really feel that we are ahead of this pandemic and go back to business as usual or our usual lives.
Wow. And what is the process? If it's experimental now, correct, you're stating?
What's experimental?
With this vaccine, has it been approved by the FDA?
Yeah, it's not experimental.
Okay. It has been
gone through the whole process. It's gone through it. Like I said before, it went through it in a more rapid pace, just because all the bureaucracy that's usually tied up in these things were released because we were in an emergency.
Right. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, again, I would love for you to come back after our vendor spotlight. I would love for you to join us on the next segment.
Okay. What can you tell what time does it start? I just hang out in the waiting room?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Back and then you'll come back.
Fair enough.
Thank you so much. All right. Wonderful. Again, that was our medical spotlight. At this time, we're actually going to have our vendor spotlight with Lee's Food Group, LLC, owned by, again, one of our panelists, Mr. Chef Lee. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, I'm back once again.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I think, Mark, if you can hear me, you got my PowerPoint. Let me pull it up here on my phone. So if you can bring it on the screen for me, sir, I would appreciate it.
As we're waiting for him, what year did you develop this?
Lee's Food Group?
Yes.
Oh, Lee's Food Group is very new. I developed it this year. I've had my catering business since 2012.
Okay.
So once I purchased the food truck and I started getting into helping individuals, do meal prepping and giving them food advice, I said, well, I need to put all the stuff I got going on up under the umbrella. And thus, Lee's Food Group, LLC was created.
Wonderful.
I don't know. Let me check to Mark and see if he can hear me. Oh, Brother Mike, he on it. So let me see. Hopefully he'll bring. So while we're waiting on Mark, like you said, I'm the owner, partner. I have a twin brother, and we are owners of Lee's Food Group, LLC. And up under it, we offer numerous different facets pertaining to food, such as catering. We cater big and small. Like I say, I can help you with meal prepping. I can help you with just being, like I call it, a food coach. A lot of time, hold on, somebody was saying something. A lot of times, some people just need advice in the kitchen. And I can be that advice that you need. We also I also offer classes, virtual classes. Since COVID, we had to we had to reinvent ourselves, a lot of us, because literally in 2020, I lost every catering
Wow.
job that I had,
Wow.
booked for the year, and that was a major blow for me and my family. So I had to come up with other ways and be creative. So we started doing I started doing online classes, and I've helped a few people, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. I don't know if Mark can bring it up, because I had a whole presentation for you guys. He said he had got it backstage. Let me just send him a quick message.
We were having a little bit of a technical glitch, but I'm getting ready to get rid of that technical glitch, and we're going to bring that presentation up. So, like I said, that was on my end. So,
okay, no problem,
like
sir.
Natasha said, that's the way technology rolls sometimes.
Hey, you the man, brother. I know you was going to handle it. I know you was going to handle it. Yeah, we waiting on you. So, everybody watching, let me, I'm about to introduce you to Lee Food Group and everything that we do and what we offer. We're based out of Rockingham County. I'm actually in Reidsville, North Carolina, but with technology, we can reach people any and everywhere. And so what you're going to see is a lot of things we've been talking about already, Mrs. Brooks. What are you putting in your mouth?
Wow.
What are you eating? What are you teaching your kids? What kind of, I don't like to use the word diet too much. I believe in a lifestyle. Diets come and go. Lifestyles teams can maintain you a lot longer. So once you change the way you live, then you can see a little change. You can go on a 30-day diet, and at the end of 30 days, what are you going to do? But if you incorporate sound decisions and choices pertaining to your health when it comes to your food, and you apply that daily, then it becomes a part of you, and it becomes who you are. And that way you're not riding no roller coaster, and don't get me wrong, I eat as healthy as I can, but sometimes, I don't mind a piece of fried fish. Pizza and some coleslaw. I don't mind, but it's far and I don't do it all the time, but I will. Right. So okay, Mr. Mark, I think he has it up for me. See if he can get the whole screen.
Wonderful.
Okay, go.
All
right. So Lee Food Group, who and what is it? All right. So it comes, I was inspired by me having to, like I said, deal with my parents, and just seeing a lot of us who are struggling with daily decisions as far as what we put on our dinner table, right? Okay, so you can go to the next slide, Mr. Mark. And so we making those decisions. Sometimes I want you to ask yourself, what are you eating? What's on your toe? You're going too fast. There you go, brother. All right, so what are you eating? Ask yourself that question. I mean, be honest. What do you have on your dinner plate? Does the thing that you have on your plate promote death, or does it promote life? It's no gray area when it comes to food, So as we go to the next slide, and you ask yourself that question and be honest, you gotta be honest with yourself. And a lot of us, I'm sad to say, we like that good old soul food.
That's me.
But I want you to really think about it. Really, is that food really good for your soul? And what is the true definition of soul? It is the essence of your being. It is who you are. And if your food that you have on your plate does not promote life, it's really not good for you. And I'm sorry to say, as you can see in the picture here, you got your smothered pork chops, you got your mashed potatoes and gravy, and you can't forget the collard greens with the ham hock swimming in it with all the grease in your greens. You can't forget that. Then we got that good old piece of sweet cornbread we're gonna put to the side. and you got your candy yams, you know. And one of my food trucks, and don't get me wrong, I do honor tradition. We do barbecue. So you got your barbecue ribs. And I want to tell you, as we go to the next slide, we got to do better. And that's what Lee's Food Group can help you do. So often, Black America, we eat dishes for comfort. You know, a lot of us eat out of emotions. A lot of us are addicted to food and we don't understand it. Our eating habits, we don't understand it. You know, the same way some may be addicted to a certain type of drug. We're addicted to a certain way we eat food. We chasing that certain flavor, that certain saltiness, that certain fattiness in the food, and we chasing that high at the dinner table. And oftentimes, when you look at what we do, what Black America do, we gonna fry everything. We gonna fry chicken. We gonna fry pork chop. We gonna fry fish. You know, I seen somebody fry some Oreos one time. I said, Lord have mercy, we just going overboard with fried vegetables, okra. I mean, we will do it, people. Let's just be honest. And like Dr. Bland said, we deal with a lot of hypertension and cardiovascular diseases. And fried foods contribute directly. I mean, directly. When you're dealing with high cholesterol, that's no more than buildup in your arteries. And that comes with what you eat over a period of time. You know, we love the fatty foods, the bacon, the margarine, the fat back meat. My daddy used to eat fat back meat like it was Lay's potato chips. And I couldn't understand it, you know. And we love to put sugar in our foods. We'll put sugar in vegetables. We'll put sugar in beans. We're gonna put sugar in spaghetti sauce. We're gonna put sugar in our sweet potato pie. I mean, I went to a soul food place and they put sugar in my turnip greens, and I was just thrown all the way back. I could not believe it. So we have to change, and that's what I can help you with Lee's Food Group. As Mark, go to the next slide. Okay, he's about to bring it up. All right, next one, brother. Yeah, that one. All right. We getting there, family. So, because I'm about to give you a lot of information, then I'm gonna bring you home. So it's 2021. The first slave hit the Virginia shores in 1619. That's over 400 years ago. And sadly to say, we ate as slaves out of survival. We needed to survive. So I don't blame our ancestors to eating such a diet, because it was forced upon us. But it's 2021. We no longer have to eat a slave diet. And the diet that we love is high in fat, it's high in salt, it's full of grease, full of sugar. It contributes to heart disease, diabetes, various cancers. And like I said, that silent killer, that high blood pressure, you know, the hypertension. I remember my grandma used to say, boy, they got their sugars. And, you know, it was, you know, in ancient Egypt days, and when we were over in Kemet and Africa and over in Egypt, it was a test that they would do to see if you had sugar in your blood. They would actually pee on the ground, and if ants went to your urine, they knew you had sugar. So it's been around a long time, but you can help change your outcome, but by what you put in your mouth. So as Mark go to the next page, we're going to see what we can do as a group of people. You have to transition your lifestyle. You have to start eating things differently. Now I know in these pictures, a lot of us don't have access to these things in our local grocery store. Let's just say our bodegas or our corner market. We don't, okay? But if you can make it to a Food Line or a Walmart, or if you can grow these things yourself, that's why it's so important if we do. Now, what I can do as Lee's Food Group, I can teach you how to grocery shop. Because believe it or not, a lot of people don't know how to shop for groceries. They just don't. They don't know how to find the deals, and it is a method and technique that you can use. And I will give you a quick one. If you go early in the morning to a lot of grocery stores, you will find a lot of deals because older people shop in the morning and grocery stores mark things down and, to try to help them out. So sorry, elderly folks, I'm just gave up one of your little secret spots. But we got to have foods high in, we always eat foods, unhealthy foods, high in fats and sugars, and it promotes death. But as you see on this picture, we have to eat foods that promote life, and Lee's Food Group can help you do that. And as Mark go to the next page, we're gonna wind this thing on up. And when you open your cabinet or your pantry, or you go in your kitchen, does this look familiar in a lot of you guys' kitchen? Is your lifestyle and what you're eating based around what you see on this page? I'm urging you, you must make a drastic lifestyle change. If your kids are consuming these items on a day-to-day basis, and it makes up over 60 to 70% of their daily food intake, you need to really reconsider on what you're feeding your children. Because I am blessed and old enough to remember a time when processed food wasn't as relevant in the American diet. I remember when the microwave didn't exist and a lot of these items couldn't even be cooked. So it is possible. We just have to go back and eat closer to God. You'll hear me say that all the time. So always remember this: man-made foods will kill you. God created foods to heal you. Okay, it's just that simple. If you look at an ingredient, and this is what I can educate you on, and it's a lot more. I can't give you all this in 15 minutes. If you look on the back of an ingredient and you can't pronounce half of the ingredients on the back of it, you probably need to put it back on the shelf. And this is just a hint. So Mark, go on to the next page, and then we're gonna let you know how you can get in touch with me and what I can do for you. As you can see, Martin, everybody remember that show. That's how we do over the holidays, and everybody want to run to McDonald's or fast food window and get that quick meal. They don't want to put no time and no love into their food anymore. And this is something we have to change. They always say eating healthy is expensive, but remember, great grandma and great granddaddy and those of the past, they were poor. And they fed 15, 16, 17 children in the house sometimes. Now we got households with 2, 3 children. And, it is ways you can feed them, and I can help you with that. And in the next slide, I'm on. In the next slide, you can see what we offer. We cater all events from large to small, whether you're doing a private event, whether you're doing a wedding. I have catered events up to 400 people, and I have done events for 2. I offer Lee's Food Group. We offer better cooking virtual classes. Now we can do everything via Zoom. I go to the gym. I believe it's you are made up of 3 parts. You got your mind, your body, and your soul. So you got your food. That's the biggest fight. But then you got to be active. You got to do some form of exercise. Well, I don't care if you don't do nothing but walk up and down the street and get you some steps in. We also offer food education classes. A lot of people don't know what ingredients are. They don't know what they can do with them. They don't understand certain methods and techniques that can be used on certain foods that you could prepare them in a reasonable amount of time. You can go. So we are so confused. We'll go out to a restaurant and wait for 25, 30 minutes to get a seat. And we could have actually went home, cooked a meal, and have already been eaten before we ate at that restaurant. But see, these are the things we have to look at. And so, as on this last slide here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to invite you to a free webinar, and this is on March the 8th. And for anybody who wants to participate, all you have to do is either inbox me. I'm on Facebook under Brother Gregory Lee. I'm on Instagram as Chef Greg Lee 97. You can email Lee's Food Group at gmail.com. All you have to do is send me your name and your telephone number, and I'll get you registered for that free webinar, so you'll see more of what we offer and what we can do for you. I want to help you change your lifestyle. I want to let you know that your food does not have to kill you. Your food can heal you. Okay. And remember, you are what you eat. You are what you eat, and that is so very true, family. I just want to thank you for your time. And once again, that's a free webinar. Free. I'm gonna give you a lot of game for nothing. So this March the 8th at 7 p.m. and I'll hold you for about an hour. Let you ask all the questions that you need, and I'll let you further give you more information of what I can do for you.
Well, listen, if no one else got anything out of it, I know that I did. I know if my daughter were here, she'd be like, yes, my mother is signing up tonight. She's the one that tells me to put that bread down. So I am grateful for that. And, and oftentimes,
Right.
and I'm sure you've seen this, I think we as people, sometimes we are so focused on living to eat instead of eating to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved it. Thank you so much again for blessing us during our vendor spotlight. And at this time, we can bring back our lovely panelists, Mr. Clodfelter and Dr. Bland. And I believe that perhaps let's see if Dr. Denise Hunter is going to join us as well for our next segment. Is she there? We'll see if she's coming in the room. Welcome back. Welcome back. And she is. Listen, were y'all back there learning something new?
Absolutely.
Listen, I must admit, Chef Lee stepped all over my toes on so many levels, but I'm not going to tell all of my business. So again, thank you. Again, listen, if you have questions for any of our panelists, please place their names and your specific questions. And again, we will try to address them. So now let's move on to the next segment, which is the ramifications of limited representation when it comes to exclusionary research practices and lack of Black practitioners. Medical research, and you alluded to this somewhat, Dr. Hunter, medical research and clinical trials are often conducted among predominantly white participants. Less than 10% of those enrolled in clinical trials are people of color. As a result, treatments and diagnostic criteria don't take into account differences for people of different races or ethnicities. I would like to start with you, Mr. Clodfelter. My question is, what are some of the causes for Black participants being absent from medical research and clinical trials? And how do we go about changing this?
That's a good question. And I really don't know the answer to that. I've been trying to figure it out myself. And I haven't been able to come up with an answer. And I'm hoping that Dr. Bland and Dr. Hunter can answer that question so that I will be able to get the answers that I need, because I really don't know.
And to be honest, that is an answer. I really don't know. It is something that I have pondered. So Dr. Bland, what do you think is the cause for the lack of participation?
Well, I think there's several reasons. One is trust. A lot of people don't trust. Everybody talks about Tuskegee. Tuskegee is something that people still think about, and it did happen. But what people don't understand is that, and I do clinical research. So I have a research area. I'm a hypertension specialist. We do research on different levels. But what they don't understand, that in place now are stipulations and regulations that mandate that when you are in a clinical trial, that you are treated in a particular manner, that we make it as safe as it can be, and that you are also explained everything about that clinical trial so that you understand what you're getting into. But I think the major deal is trust. I think that people don't trust it when the people who are promoting or are doing these clinical trials don't look like them on a lot of occasions. So, and also people don't know about it also. A lot of our people don't know about it, because I know that when we tell people about it, or when we work with different companies and they are advertise about it and people learn about it, then they're willing to do it. It is a way, especially if you are, if you may not have insurance, you can get some testing done, maybe some lab works done, and get some information. But I really think the real deal is just trust. People don't understand what it is, but it's changed. And I often tell people that there are people who are in place now to make sure that the things that happened in the past don't happen at this point in time. They have things called IRBs that when a study is done, that have to be done. And to be perfectly honest, you'll really watch quite closely when you are in a clinical trial. But I still say the bottom line is that people have to understand that the people who are doing the study, that they can trust that they will be cared for properly.
Thank you. Dr. Hunter, as a result of limited participation, what are the yielding negative effects for our community as a whole?
So part of it is just understanding how things may affect us differently. That's the biggest part. And once again, it's a trust thing, in that if you know that a study has representation, to trust in it. Whereas if you find out there were 99.9% white men, then you're right, there's no representation there, even though it may be beneficial for you in the long run. It may be, we don't know, but that trust, because there was no representation.
Thank you. And just like social media that has algorithms, there are some health algorithms, and sometimes you experience some biases there. According to a 2019 study published in Science, it was investigated that the algorithm used by health systems and insurers to determine which patients with chronic conditions needed extra care. The researchers found that the algorithm only identified 18% of Black patients as needing more care compared to about 82% of white people, even though their levels of sickness were similar. As a result, the algorithm failed to account for a collective nearly 50,000 chronic conditions experienced by Black patients, according to STAT, who then didn't receive adequate care. Chef Lee, my question is, how important is representation, especially within the medical field?
It means so much to me. And I, like Dr. Bland said, for me, I had to go with somebody I could trust. And I hate to say it like this, but I want my doctor to be a Black man or a woman. Because I do understand, and like you say, the history behind medicine and the treatment toward Black folks here. So a relationship with a patient and a doctor has to be genuine. And so for me to participate in that fully, I have to trust my doctor. I have to believe in them. I have to believe that my health is at their best interest, that I'm not somebody they just trying to prescribe medicine to make money. And so that's very key, because I read a book, this book right here, Medical Apartheid. And if you ever read this book, don't read it now, because not now, because you will never take a vaccine. But it speaks on a lot of issues of what we're talking about here tonight. So I got two girls. One want to be a pediatrician, and I think the other one wants to be in the medical field as well. So we need to encourage our children, because we need more representation in the medical field. So when we do walk into a doctor's office, we can see somebody that looks like us. So we will put our guards down a little bit, because I'm very skeptical when it comes to my health. You just ain't gonna tell me in and everything and expect me to believe it. So I gotta trust them.
Thank you so much. And that being said, This is for Dr. Bland and Dr. Hunter, especially when it comes to the number of Black practitioners that we see nationwide. What are some of the contributing factors for the shortage?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that a lot of people haven't seen that there are people who look like us who can do what we do. And so they haven't aspired to do that. I think now we're seeing more people who look like us who do. The Surgeon General of the United States is a Black man. That's wonderful to see. We see one of the primary people who did the Moderna studies was a Black woman who is basically local also. So I think when we see people who look like us doing things, we know that we can do those things also. And that makes a big difference when you see somebody who does that. I remember when I was growing up, my pediatrician was a woman, and she took the time to spend time with me and to make me feel that I could do this. And I will remember when I finished school, she was the first person there to hug me. She had a big influence upon me because I saw another woman who did what I wanted to do. So I think it helps when you see people who can do what you do. First of all, I think also that sometimes we haven't had the opportunities. You know, we have more opportunities than we had before, but some people didn't get the opportunities. It's not that we can't do the work, but they didn't get the opportunity to go to school and learn and, become what they wanted to be in life and everything. So, Dr. Hunter, what are you thinking?
Honestly, I kind of go along with you right there, is that the possibility. Sometimes people do need to see that it's been done before. When you see it's done before, all of a sudden you know that it's a possibility. Somebody has to be the first. And then I don't know how much we're doing as Black medical professionals, going back and really finding somebody to mentor and take them by the hand through the process and really show ourselves in the community to really let them know that it is a possibility. It's one thing to become a medical doctor and work in compassion healthcare and sit there waiting for the patients to come to me. But as an internist, I don't see kids. So am I going out there to physically find young Black women, young Black men to inspire to become a physician? So I'm not sure how much of that we're doing as a community. I just have to throw out a statistic here. When I finished medical school, I actually went to work in Colorado. And at that time, I was one of 88 Black doctors in the entire state of Colorado. Oh. So I don't think that number has changed significantly since then. But it's improving though. We're doing better.
And staying with that, in that same vein of medical school, I know that I have read different things in terms of students that actually dropped out because of their treatment while they were in medical school because of them being Black. So did you guys experience anything as far as any mistreatment?
I will say just for me, I don't know. Because I'm actually from Jamaica originally, and because of that, I grew up in a Black society, and I just didn't feel like my Blackness was anything to be ashamed of. And anytime I walked into spaces, I didn't care. I'm here. And I do understand the advantage that gave me in life, whereas because it was never a factor in how I viewed life, I just never really even, sometimes people were being mean or unfair to me because I was Black, but because it was part of my upbringing, I just didn't recognize this annoying or that person just mean, and I just moved on with my life. But in retrospect, I can see where Black students may have been treated differently, or felt they were treated unfair. I can definitely see how that could happen, how that can be discouraging. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where you kind of have to put the end goal in sight and just barrel through and press through and put some blinders on. Because I will say, though, when I was in medical school, the university medical school, they put a lot of investment in you when you have entered their school. And it really doesn't look good on them for them to admit you and you don't pass. It looks bad on their record. So they will do anything to retain you. And sometimes if you don't take advantage of the fact that they want to retain you and really make your voice known that you're being treated unfairly, and it can be very complicated, but there are options there. That does happen, though, from what I've heard and from people.
Thank you. Dr. Bland, did you have anything to offer?
Yeah, I think there are, and that's interesting, Dr. Hunter's point of view, because she's from Jamaica. I'm from Georgia. And, I knew that there were places that I wasn't wanted, to be there. But I think, as she said, though, you look at the end goal, my dad would tell me, tie a knot on the rope and hold on tight. And, I was going to get through no matter what. So I think it was really important. I will never forget, though, that I remember I had just graduated from medical school and I had my checks and I went to the bank to cash a check. And it said Vita J. Bland, MD. And the person there asked me, what did the MD stand for? And I said the same thing it stands for after a white person's name. And I was just, taken back that it didn't stand for something because it was behind my name, So, I think so, and I'm older than Dr. Hunter, so I maybe saw a few things that she didn't see, but you did what you had to do and you let them know that you were there and you were going to finish and they were going to respect who you were,
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, Dr. Hunter, thank you for joining us. If you would like to leave at this time, you're more than welcome, or you can stay with us. We are going to transition and start speaking about environmental racism. So that is totally up to you.
Well, I'm going to take off. Thank you all so much for having me, though. I really appreciate it. And I would love to come on another time to talk about wellness, too.
And we would love to have you. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
You all have a good evening.
All right. So as again, we're shifting gears and we're going to environmental racism. By definition, it refers to the many ways that communities of color in the United States, Black families in particular, face greater harms from environmental factors. Conscious decisions by way of imbalances in political power keep these injustices in place at each step, such as through redlining, municipal secession, and exclusionary zoning. I believe that Reverend William Barber and the Poor People's Campaign, they've done a phenomenal job with bringing awareness to this area, as well as other areas of great needed impact and areas needing education. So my first question, and we'll start with you, Chef Lee, is what are some examples of environmental factors that attribute to environmental racism?
Oh man, it's so much of it that exists, especially coming from where I grew up at. And Dr. Bland, I don't know if you remember me, but you was my dad's doctor, because your office was on West End. Am I correct? My dad's name was Harry Lee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I know exactly who you are now. I know who you are.
Yeah.
Your dad was a wonderful man.
Yeah, he was just hard-headed, though. That's all. So I seen a lot of injustice as far as we couldn't even wear certain things. I could be in the car and I would take my do-rag off because I didn't want to be stereotyped and pulled because I had a do-rag on my head. It was things like I didn't want more than another person, but if it was 4 people in the car, you had a higher chance if you were black to be discriminated against. And that was all about an environment. Now I could ride around in the other part of town where the grass was green and the picket fence was white and have anything on my head. And if I was a different color and it was not an issue. But if you moved to my side of town and to where I grew up, you had to be very careful on what you wore, how many people you gathered around. I've even been on a porch at a cookout and have the police just pull up and shine their lights on the porch because I guess it was too many of us there. I have no idea. And then just pull off. So it's little things like that. And I don't know if it's so much they sending a message. I think that's what it was, so to speak. But I think it's getting better. I know we have a black police chief. And if you would have asked me that in Reidsville, North Carolina 20 years ago, would that have been possible? I would have told you no. And I think that police chief holds his officers accountable in their actions. So I do believe in law enforcement. I do believe in the structure of it. I just think it needs a little overhauling.
Thank you. Mr. Clodfelter, any examples of environmental factors?
Coming from Lexington, North Carolina, wow, yeah, experienced it all. I've seen a little bit of it all throughout incarceration, streets, yeah, I've experienced a little bit of everything. Even now, to this day, as a black man walking around with HIV, I still experience systemic racism within healthcare. I see it all, but do I let it take me to bring myself down to that level? I think I just have been able to be strong mentally and physically and just to brush it off my shoulder. What can we do? It exists. But I think what y'all are doing and what with all the Black Lives Matter movement and everything, I think we're at a better place now, but we still got a long way to go.
Dr. Bland, within our communities, oftentimes we've had to fight against waste disposal and toxic dumping, industrial uses in proximity to power towers and exposure to mold and mildew and lead in the paint and lead in the water. And even being in such places and dealing with like disasters and the repercussions and the results of it, even like, for example, with Hurricane Katrina, what are some of the health effects that these things have had on us?
Well, certainly when you talk about the waste, which is a big one, that waste that is done from industrial complex where it's gotten into the water system, we know that it gets, we are drinking that water. And what are the effects of that? We've seen it primarily if we look at Flint, Michigan, where the water was toxic and the kids now have had problems with their learning ability, and that is a big one. But we've seen that all over the country wherein the waste was disposed of in our part of the city. It was disposed of in our part of the city. So that meant that our water, our ground was contaminated by waste. And we've seen areas where we've had an increase in the number of cancers also because of that waste being there. So those are the things that we've seen. I think people are fighting more because finally people realize it now, and they're trying to stop this wasting, the putting of waste in our part of the city and everything. But it has been very detrimental. When you see areas where so many cancers, there have been places where there have been lots of kids also that have come up with different cancers and things. So those are the things. But when we talk about environmental problems, I want us to remember also that noise is toxic also. And that is one of the things I think people don't realize a lot. A lot of noise can also cause a lot of damage. Also, all of these things cause stress. Stress is a killer, also a big killer. And we are seeing people die because of that. So when we talk about this, it's multifactorial. It is all over the place. And we just don't think about just the waste. We think about if there's a lot of traffic in an area and the quality of the air there. So it's a lot of different things that we need to think about when we look at that. And we need to fight those kinds of things. And I'm glad that finally we are getting to the point that we are fighting it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And when you're talking about stress, let's go ahead and go there. The toxic stress of racism and the correlation to mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. Chef Lee.
Oh, look, my last job working for somebody else was at a white country club. And I was the head chef. And when I tell you that I could tell you some stories and issues that I had to deal with on a day-to-day basis, it literally was affecting my health.
Wow.
My blood pressure was up. I would get headaches. I had body aches. I would pull in the parking lot and would have to say a prayer just to walk in the door and do my job. It was that stressful on me. And I knew that a lot of it was a tribute to my color. I did have the power to hire and fire whoever I wanted in my kitchen. So my whole kitchen was black. And they can't do nothing now. I experienced a lot. I had individuals come in my kitchen and get in my face and cuss at me, put their fingers in my face. And I would go to ownership and management and express my concern about my safety and the kitchen safety, and nothing would be done. My cooks would come to me and file complaints about certain issues that would happen to them while I was not there. And I would take it to the board of directors or the president, and it would basically always be swept under the rug. So much so to where my kitchen started turning on me like I was not, going to bat for them or, reporting these incidents. And so I had to find ways to channel that stress, to deal with it. So I had to go get in the gym. I started back playing basketball. I learned how powerful meditation is. I learned to use healthy outlets to deal with that stress. And we all know on this panel, it's difficult enough just existing, being a human being and for survival. But then you throw on top of it, you're black too. Here in America, it can be very overwhelming at times. And I have a wife and four girls. So I just couldn't get up at that job and just walk out and quit. So it was a lot of things that I had to deal with, a lot of things that I encountered that would question my very manhood as I look myself in the mirror. And it would be difficult, to deal with. So I just woke up one morning and said, hey, I'm not gonna work with them anymore, and I just started, running my own business and doing my own thing. And believe it or not, my blood pressure is better. I don't have the anxieties, it's just, I just feel so much better as far as my health. I don't have to deal with that crap, man. So everybody watching, if you're dealing with stress, find a healthy outlet to help you with it. I suggest meditation. If it's something that you love to do, whether it be drawing, painting, reading a book, do so, and just take time for yourself, because that, Dr. Bland, you're right, it's a silent killer. That stress put pressure on your vital organs, on your heart, and before you know it, boom, just issues start to happen one after another. And and when I worked at that country club, I had to visit the emergency room quite frequently, dealing with digestive issues. The issues, it was so bad I thought I was having heart attacks at times. And so it's a real issue in our community, and I know Dr. Bland could probably elaborate it on way better than I can, because it's
Absolutely. And I think oftentimes, we run into that dangerous statement of, when it comes to even children, not taking the time to really have the conversations with children and to see what they're thinking and to see what they're feeling. And a lot of times people will say, well, children are resilient. Well, guess what? No, what children are future adults that are broken, right? Future adults that are self-medicating off of alcohol and drugs or pornography or whatever the case may be, or having toxic outlet. So I think that we also need to take the time to speak to our children. And unfortunately, I know when I was in school, in elementary school, and perhaps maybe even middle school, we actually had groups where we could come together and talk about character traits and express how we feel. But nowadays, the counselors, while maybe they would love to do that, they're not used for that. They're utilized to get students into college, and they're used for testing purposes. On the higher educational level, most of the time when we're looking at the data and we're looking at retention, the reason why a lot of college students are leaving is because of mental health issues. So if we could attack it at a younger age, perhaps we wouldn't have it, being such a true, societal problem later on in life for so many. Now, with that, sometimes in our families, we've had to deal with certain statements, such as, what goes in the house stays in the house. That's a white thing. We as Black people, we don't go see counselors. Just pray about it. Just get over it. Suck it up. Boys don't cry. Don't show emotion. Men toughen up. How do you think that these statements have played into poor mental health? Dr. Bland?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And Chef, I want to let you know you're right on it, my friend. You are right on it. When we don't allow people to express how they feel, and we tell them that what they're feeling is not valid, we are harming them. I see people each and every day who have feelings that they just don't matter because they were not allowed to express how they feel. It is so interesting that you brought this up, but I just interviewed a young man who had written a book about Black men and intimacy.
Wow.
It's a good book. And if you listen to my radio program, it's going to be on next week. But Black men and intimacy, and why Black men are told to suck it up, as you said, be a man. And it harms us in the long run because your feelings are not validated. And there's nothing worse to not be validated, to be told that what you are feeling is not real or that is not appropriate. And this young man even talked about, we've got to start off with parenting skills. that we need to start off with, you know, trying to help our parents know how we should be doing this. In the Black family, though, I will tell you, so many times I have patients that come in and I will ask them, what kind of health problems did your mama have? Or what kind of health problems did your grandmother have? And what nobody ever talked about those kinds of things. Nobody ever talked about it. So they don't know what was going on. Secrets kill. Secrets do lots of damage. So keeping those secrets are not good for us in the long run. And I have to go back and talk about stress. There are many, many studies that have shown that increase in stress kills, especially African Americans. And Chef, I want to say, meditation. They did some studies in Baltimore inner city. People who had high blood pressure, they taught them how to do transcendental meditation. Doing the transcendental meditation lowered their blood pressure. This was without additional medication or anything, just learning how to meditate to get that stress off of the body, lowered their blood pressure, which you and I both know increased their livelihood, a lifetime and everything. So dealing with stress is very important, but validating people and letting them know how they feel is important. Is also very important, because when you don't, as you said, you end up with broken people who don't know how to deal with life. It's part of learning to live with life.
Absolutely. So it's like people get hit on both ends. So at home, if you can't discuss certain things, and then out in the community, when it comes to the doctors, you have certain myths out there, like, Black patients have a higher tolerance of pain, or we're only going to the doctors to seek medication, right? So unfortunately, we've got to change the narrative. I know we're winding down. I definitely want to at least have Mr. Clotfelter chime in on when it comes to programs and policies. I know that Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner, she talks about that and talks about, programs sometimes address the symptoms, but policies address the systems. How important is it to maybe even have a combination of programs and policies? And I know with your AIDS activism, I believe that they even have ADAP and things of that nature. How important is it to have ADAP and Medicare and Medicaid or the Affordable Care Act? Can you speak on that, sir?
Yes. When I came to Greensboro, as I said, and started this ministry by God's grace, I didn't know anything. I mean, I was just brand new, but just my determination and resilience. If I was going to be the person leading the way, speaking to my people as an HIV activist and a man living with HIV, I had to know everything in and out. So the policies and the bills that goes before the House and Senate, I work North Carolina AIDS Action Network. Lee Starr is the executive director, and he does every year, Speak Out on John Street. So activists like myself, men and women who are national speakers, activists, we go with Lee Starr to the Senate and the House, and we speak and we address and speak to our legislators about Medicaid, ADAP, which is now changed to HMAP, criminalization laws, control measures. And if the people in legislature don't see someone who is actually living with HIV to face themselves, because it's easy for someone else to go up there that's not living with it, but me actually sitting right in front of them, I got my medicine, and it's very important. And I just thank God that I've been able to change the control measures as far as the way that we are criminalized and looked upon on HIV, because, taking the medicines, reducing the amount of the HIV in your body, becoming undetectable. It's a lot of information and it's a lot to learn. So I encourage anybody, if you know someone, if you have access to someone who is living with HIV and speaking and doing great work, listen to them, understand what they're saying, because we don't get that a lot. I mean, 34 years, and to this day, we're still living in a cruel world out here, because I used to ride the public GTA transportation, but when COVID hit, I got off the bus because I already knew the threat that it brought to me. Pre-existing condition. I also have hepatitis B. I haven't been able to get the vaccine yet. I'm only 62. So I'm on a waiting line. I got to wait. But I have my medicine. I'm in treatment. My health is great. Yes, I am depressed because before COVID, I was in the community. I'm an activist. I mean, I love people. I volunteer everywhere. I'm in schools, college, Bennett, North Carolina A&T, UNCG. But since COVID, I can't get out there like that. I have to be very careful. But this is where I do my, groups like y'all, Michael, that allow me to participate and share my story and share my walk. See, I haven't worked since I was 17. I don't get paid for this. I do this from my heart. It's not about the money. The certificates and all that you see on the wall, this is because I was brave enough, not ashamed. That's just God's blessing. Walking in the rain, carrying I do all of this because I love my people. I love my life. I love sharing. I want to make sure that there's no more HIV. I said when I was diagnosed, I would be the last man standing. I told God, I said, I'm going to be the last man standing. So when they find that cure, I'm going to be there. I walk this disease with newly diagnosed patients, people. I don't only address HIV, I address all of it. I'm a recovering addict, 34 years clean. I've been in and out of prison 4 times in my life. I've served over 15 years in prison. So I'm speaking and bringing real knowledge from the street. And I love what I do. And I'll ride it to the end. But I just thank God that I'm able to have a voice, share a message, and be the change that I want to see in the world.
Thank you, sir. And because of that, because you are real, because you are relatable, because you've been tested and you're willing to selflessly share your testimony, more doors are going to continue to open. And I'm sure that you're going to save more lives than you will ever even know. There may be people that may never be able to touch you or to thank you personally. So as I sit here on their behalf, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you are doing. And thank you, sir, for what you will do. Even within this area, when it comes to mental health and things of that nature, hey, you're going to be transparent, and so am I. When I was in high school, up until then, where I was at school, I was very popular. I was an athlete. I was a good student, state champion, things of that nature, homecoming queen, you name it. It was great, right? But inside, I was dying. And so my senior year, I literally attempted to take my life. I stayed home one day, had some BB and CC Winans, right? How demonic is that, and took a whole large bottle of aspirin because I wanted the pain to stop. I didn't understand that people didn't see the suffering through my smile. I didn't understand that I could be there for others, but they couldn't be there for me. And really, if somebody would have just taken the time to say, hey, Tasha, I know you're there for everybody else, but are you okay? Is everything okay, whether they saw it or not? But here we are, right? We still stand. And even when it comes to Black women, right, dying in childbirth, and things of that nature. I am so pleased. I saw where North Carolina Representative Alma Adams, as well as Illinois Representative Lauren Underwood and Senator Cory Booker just a few days ago unveiled a Omnibus Act or whatever when it comes to addressing that. And I again can speak firsthand. With my daughter, I was pregnant. I was told, never shown any examinations, no x-rays, no nothing, no sonograms, nothing. I was told I needed to abort my child because she was growing in my fallopian tube. At the time, I was around 21, 22. I had never gotten a second opinion in my life. Thank goodness what I now know was the Holy Ghost. I went and got a second opinion and she was fine. With my son, he was not coming. I guess he was eating too well. And so they had to induce me. Well, during that time, I started feeling severe pain. And I kept trying to tell the physicians that I was experiencing pain and something wasn't right. And they were ignoring me, only to find out that he had turned around, was breached for a moment, had turned back around after I applied some anointing oil and had the cord wrapped around his neck and had swallowed stool and came out, by way of forceps and things of that nature. But again, like, this is real, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got to continue to speak up. We've got to continue to speak out, protest in the streets, get in the board meetings, get the right people elected so we can definitely implement the necessary programs and the policies. Now, I would just like to have each of you close us out with one final statement of your choice, as well as let the people know how they can follow you, because I believe that they need to be attached to you. Also, let us know of any other voices, right, or organizations that people can follow as well. And we'll do ladies first. Dr. Bland.
Okay, this has been a wonderful experience. I am honored that you asked me to be here. And I am honored to have served with all of you all. Chef Lee, Mr. Clark-Felder, it's been fabulous just to be with you guys. I've learned a lot, and I thank you for having me here. First of all, we need to remember we are our own keepers, but we also are our brother's keeper. A lot of people don't like to think of that, but we are. We need to make sure that we take care of our health. If we don't have health, we don't have a lot of things in life. It is the way we are able to do the things that we want to be able to do in life. Value yourself. So many times I see people, and in my opinion, they don't value themselves. And I think it's important that you value yourself. And by valuing yourself, you take care of your health. You make sure your blood pressure is under control. I am a high blood pressure specialist. You make sure your diabetes, your cholesterol, you make sure you're eating properly, and you make sure you're getting adequate exercise. Sleep is very important. Make sure that you're getting adequate sleep. Is one of the things that we think is a luxury, and sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is a necessity. And we also have to take time to take care of our mental health. I am so blessed that in my second year of medical school, they told us we're going to have stress, and that is when I learned to do transcendental meditation, and I've done it for the last 50 million years, as I say. But doing that helps me to decrease the amount of stress that I have. And I think that is something that we as a people need to learn how to do, whatever the way that you find to release stress. Some people find it in exercise. Some people find it in, as it's been said before, reading. But whatever it is, it needs to be found and it needs to be cultivated. So it's, again, I say thank you so much for inviting me here. You can follow me on my Facebook page. I'm a syndicated columnist. I am in the Carolina Peacemaker. I also just recently, my radio program has been going into syndication. So I'm going to be on a lot of NPR stations across the country. So you can listen to me on WNAA here in the city. So, text me, tweet me, let me know what's up. I'm always looking for people to interview. If you think you got something to say, let me know, because I want to put you on. Thank you again. And like I say, an honor to serve with all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Bland, and congratulations on your syndication. That is amazing. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Clodfelter, any closing remarks? And again, let us know how we can stay in touch with you.
My Facebook page. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn. And I want to say, please, please, we got to get rid of the stigma, the discrimination, and the pointing the fingers. You can't look at a person and tell that they have HIV or they are living with AIDS. So let's stop with the discrimination and the stigma. Instead, be our brothers and our sisters keepers. And I want to thank such a great panel. I am honored to be here in the space with you. I have learned as much from you as you have learned from me. But we got to learn to be our brothers and sisters keepers, as Dr. Bland said. And we got to do better by how we react to people, because this could be your brother. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be your daughter. She could be she could have found out that she was diagnosed with HIV, or he could have, and need your support, need your love. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to go to the street, or either they're going to try to commit suicide. Because I've been there too. And I'm grateful to be here, because I was dead in prison. If the stewardess hadn't found me, and he found me hanging. So yeah, I've had the sheet around my neck. I've tried to commit suicide, but I'm still here. And I'm grateful to be here. That's why I'm out here on this fight. And I will continue to be on this fight. And I'm just loving the fact that I was able to spend this time with y'all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You are such a blessing. All right, last but not least, Chef Lee.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Dr. Bland. It's been a pleasure. I will definitely send you a friend request on Facebook. And Brother Clodfelter, man, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, sir. To see your transparency and to hear your story, like Mrs. Brooks said, you probably don't know how many people you have touched and saved, but I can guarantee you, just to hear the sincerity in your story, and you put your heart on the screen, and so I know you're sincere with what you do. So keep doing it, young man. God is gonna continue to bless you, and for me, if you want to run across Chef Greg, you can find me on Facebook by Gregory Lee. I'm on Instagram by the name of Chef Greg 97. You can also reach me at Lee's Food Group at gmail.com. Other organizations, I got my hands in a lot of pots. You know, I'm an active member of the NAACP. And so I know we go out and when we touch on social injustice often. I actually had a call today from some authorities about an issue that happened to a young Black sister. So if my people, I'm gonna tell you, be the change you want to see. Your health is important. It's the only life you got. It's the only, I really wish I could see more of my people take their physical health more, be more urgent about it. I've been working out for about 6 years now, and it's sad to say I rarely see people of color work out. I'll see them in January when that New Year's hit, and they set them New Year's resolutions. But come into February, March, they're gone. And you don't have to be, you don't have to go to the gym 3-4 days like myself. You can just take a walk. It costs nothing to go to the park and walk a trail or buy you a bicycle and go for a ride. You know, these things are free. You know, it just take your determination and your will. But like we was touching on, mental illness is real. Address the issues that you have going on inside of you. Dr. Bland, I am an advocate for meditation as well. And I first was introduced to meditation through this book. And it speaks on, you know, the art of meditation, how important it is to breathe and to become one with your thoughts and to release that negative energy and vibe that you have going on. So I'm telling you, my people, it is possible. Look for a positive outlet for your stress, because you can choose a negative outlet. I have been there. I lost both of my parents 4 months apart, and it sent me into a place that I never want to get back to. And I was self-medicating, and I was just in a bad place in my life. And like you said, Sister Brooks, nobody's seen that struggle. You know, when people are dealing with mental illnesses and depression and, you know, suicidal thoughts, that is one of the biggest fights they are fighting in their life, and you never see it. So if somebody reaches out to you, if somebody's in your family and you can tell they staying off to themselves, they don't seem to have motivation to drive to go about their daily life, you want to check on that person, you know, and it's okay to be that shoulder, and it's okay to go talk to somebody, Black folks. I didn't talk to a therapist on the phone. It's okay. Sometimes you have to have somebody you need to talk to, because if you keep that stuff in, it will materialize into a disease. It's going to come out, and so you need, you know, oftentimes our grandparents, we talk to the preacher, you know, my pastor. I'll talk to my pastor before I hold it in, you know. So please, Black folks, let's take our health more serious, because this is the only life we got. Our kids is watching, and once again, to everybody on the panel, it has been a pleasure to be with you all tonight.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I extend the same sentiments. Thank you so much. It has been an honor for me to be able to serve as your host. I want to thank all of the viewers. Again, you could have been anywhere, but you are here. Continue to share this. Come back again and watch the replay. Make the notations. Of course, we couldn't dive truly deep into all of these areas because Black health is so broad, but hopefully you were able to grab at least one nugget that blessed your life. I want to thank Merrill Holloway with NC 100 for all that he's done. Miss Portia Harris. I want to thank Mark Lee behind the scenes. I want to thank their team, and definitely the Next Generation Alliance, Mr. Sean Norman, Mr. Sean X, Mike Harris, and of course, our very own panelist tonight, Mr. Gregory Lee. Listen, for your vision, for your heart. This is absolutely amazing. It is priceless, and I am so grateful. My parting words would basically just be: keep learning, keep loving, you know, keep leaning forward, and keep lifting others. And I just want to say God bless each and every one of you. At this time, we are going to have one of the organizer, Mr. Sean X, with us to close us out.
First of all, I want to thank everybody that participated all week long. Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, bro. Yeah, we can hear you.
Can y'all? Okay, y'all can hear me? Okay, I want to thank everybody that came out and participating, listening to me and everyone else. Brother Greg Lee, thank you so much. Doctor, thank you. Miss Natasha, thank you. Mr. Caulfield, thank everybody. I'm just a regular guy from Reedsville and want to make a change. And I want to thank all the fellas that stepped up and make a change. And since we speaking on health, I want to thank everybody who actually participates and help their neighbors when it comes to us dealing with the pandemic, because only you and your neighbor can make this thing go away. We can do this as a team. just remind everybody, we're still in the pandemic. Wash your hands, social distance, wear your mask, love your neighbor. And I want to thank everybody who participated.
Have a great night, everyone. God bless you. And thank you again for tuning
Good
in.
night, everyone.
Good night.